As a believer, what does it mean to be sanctified? Well, this is what Paul tells us in Philippians. He says this, and I am sure of this, that he, talking about God, who began a good work in you and began a good work in me, will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. Here's what this means. It means, so the good work that God has began in us is sanctification. It's the putting off of old self, the crucifying the sinful flesh, and putting on the resurrected body through the power of the Spirit. And it says that this will come to completion at the day of Jesus Christ, meaning the second time that Jesus comes. So sanctification isn't just like a one-time thing. You prayed, you received the Holy Spirit, and you're completely sanctified. No, sanctification is a process, and it's a lifelong process. In fact, somebody shared this chart with me, and now I want to share it with you. This can be called the sanctification chart. So we all start 0 years old and we live until we die. And so this is going to be a timeline that kind of represents that as we grow older and we approach the day that we die, how close, we feel like we get to God. So when we're all born, we don't know God. So we're not close. We don't have any intimacy with God. And so we kind of grow, we're far away from God. We get a little closer. We learn about him. We pull back a little bit, over time we get closer, we come down, we plateau. But kind of as we get older, we do feel like we've gotten closer to God as we've grown older as compared to where we've been in the past. This may look something like your life, how close and intimate you feel like you are getting with God. The thing about this though is from an outsider perspective, sometimes how we view people as far as their need to be sanctified is we say, this person right here, so let's say this 18-year-old right here, man, they're doing so much sin. They're doing drugs, they're drinking, they're partying. Like you can just tell they're so far from God. They need so much more Jesus. Right. And so what we tend to think is as we get closer and closer to God, we need less and less Jesus because, they're closer to God. They're more sanctified, right? They don't need as much Jesus because they're not dealing with as much sin as they used to. But the reality is this is not what biblical sanctification looks like. But the exact opposite is true. As you get closer to God, you realize you need more of Jesus. So you realize here, you need more and more of Jesus as you get closer to God because you realize how broken you truly are. And that's why if you ask 18-year-old boy, hey man, what do you struggle with? What sin struggles are you struggling, wrestling with? That 18-year-old boy is gonna be like, I cuss, maybe I watch pornography every once in a while. But if you were to ask a 70-year-old devout man of God, what are you struggling with? He's gonna be like, gosh, I struggle with pride. I'm so quick to speak to my wife and I'm not quick to listen. I'm quick to anger. He'll talk about, man, I got jealousy as far as for my other friends. They have wealth that I don't have. And he'll be able to list so much more sin in his life because he's aware. As you get closer to God, you realize how far away you are in morality and perfection because as you get closer to God, you realize how good he is and how good you are not. This is the process of sanctification. Time goes on and you get closer and closer with God. The more intimate you become with God, you will realize the more of Jesus you truly need.